Saturday Social, brought to you by EA Sports FC with PlayStation 5.
It is a huge game tonight, and it is the fixture that separates our two gates. Manchester City against Chelsea, live on Sky. And, of course, the Saturday Social whiteboard is out in all of its glory.
Yeah.
Bit of a combined 11, but with a little bit of a twist this week, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be a combined 11, but from the Premier League era between Manchester City and Chelsea here. So you don't have to just select from this season. It can be anybody that's played for either club in the Premier League. You've each put an 11 together. You're going to go head-to-head, try and get a player on the board. If you can't agree, me and Smithy will decide based on the best arguments put forward.
Best argument put forward, so get your thinking caps on. Can you reveal to the camera who you've both gone with for your keeper? Petr Cech and Petr Cech agreement. OK.
See, I'm pleased by that because I was worried about him. Off the back of the useless approach to the previous game, I thought that this is going to be a problem. He proved to us that he has no football rationale. He proved to us that he's incredibly tribal and incredibly one-dimensional, and I felt like that was going to be seen here.
You're not over that, are you, by the way?
No, it was ridiculous from him.
He said Conor Gallagher is his favourite Chelsea player ever, over Thiago Silva.
Yes.
Come on,
it's my favourite. I mean, this is my opinion. I got that one right.
Crystal Palace and West Bromwich Albion legend, Conor Gallagher.
Let's bring it back to Cech.
Petr Cech, obviously one of the greatest keepers in Premier League history, but obviously as a Man City fan, you've gone with Petr Cech. Yeah. Was Ederson close for that?
I think Guardiola would pick Ederson. I think Guardiola individually would take Ederson's distribution. But apart from that, if you want a shot stopper, Cech is maybe the best in the history of the league.
And just for the record, Guardiola wouldn't pick anybody over Cech if he had the opportunity. So it's cool to say it, but it's not true.
You don't think you would
take
Ederson?
You've spoken to him about that,
yeah, I know. Me and Pep.
Distribution's huge in the modern game. I don't know about Cech's distribution. I don't think either of us do.
There is no way that Guardiola would take Ederson over Cech. Cech is leaps and bounds ahead of Ederson as a goalkeeper.
OK, stick him up. I think we all agree Cech is the standout. We're just giving it context and saying players that haven't preference. Very angry still.
Very angry start from Rory Jennings.
OK.
Right backs.
I've done the right thing here.
Yeah.
I hope you have.
Honourable.
I wanted to make a shout for maybe Branislav Ivanovic, my hero that is Dan Petrescu, Paulo Ferreira. There's a man who knows how to dress well.
OK.
But I, too, have gone for Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
I think he's right back in the history of the Prem for you?
I would say he's still second to Gary Neville.
Yeah.
I would say he's still second to Gary Neville, but I think he's a flawless fullback, wonderful footballer, and gets into this side without too much effort.
Happy with that,
Total agreement, Boo?
Yeah, easily. I think his athleticism, I think the fact that he's even in a conversation with Gary Neville based on where he was when he left Tottenham and the development he's shown at Man City, it's a testament to his career at Man City.
Yeah, 13 major trophies with Manchester City, Kyle Walker and Petr Cech. Complete agreement from both of them so far. Let's move on to centre-backs. Let's reveal both of your centre-back pairing together just to see what you've got, whether you agree on any. So, Boovy's gone Terry and Company. You've gone to Chelsea and Terry and Carvalho.
Yes.
Why Carvalho?
Because I think Ricardo Carvalho is a better player overall than Vincent Kompany. I think Vincent Kompany was good. I think he certainly led the team. I think his contribution to Manchester away from the pitch is exceptional. He's a good man. But he isn't a better player than Ricardo Carvalho. He's not even close to being a better player than Ricardo Carvalho.
Not even close?
No. Ricardo Carvalho is one of the best centre-halves to have ever played in the Premier League. I mean, Vincent Kompany would do well to be in a top 10 of centre-halves?
No, Company gets in top 5 shouts. He's got more iconic moments.
I could easily... Do you want me to name 5 centre-halves better than...
I don't think you could, but...
I can. I can.
Go
on. Terry, Carvalho...
Except Carvalho.
Yapstam... Nemanja Vidic,
not Yapstam.
Rio Ferdinand.
No way. Yapstam doesn't have longevity.
He played in the Premier League for 3 years and won the league 3 times.
No, yeah, not for me. Company has won an equal amount of Premier League titles, more iconic moments, and he was there when we were rubbish as well. And I think the fact he can improve with the side is huge. I think, to your argument, the combination between those two is maybe the best defensive partnership we've ever seen. Company obviously never played with Terry. Would Company improve that back line? I think he would.
Do you know what else would make sense for it to be these two, just if you two are going to have the deciding vote? These two plus Cech conceded 15 goals in one season, a record that will never be broken. I think it would be weird for us to break up that partnership, wouldn't it?
I know what you're saying about Carvalho. I do feel like he was underappreciated because of the fact, obviously everyone knows John Terry, widely regarded as one of the greatest centre-backs in Premier League history, and a lot of times Carvalho, who had an unbelievable career, it was almost like the forgotten man, so to speak. Yeah. But if you watched him play, he was an unbelievable player. I think we do have to factor in, though, everything that Company's done at Manchester City, and the fact that I think you make a good point, Booth, that he was one of the first in terms of obviously all the marquee players you've got now, one of the first leaders, everything that he brought to Manchester City. Are either of you happy? We always ask this when you do Command 11 to concede on this. Was Company close for you, Rory, or was Carvalho close for you, Buvey?
I think you have to. OK, maybe you can say Carvalho is a better centre back. I definitely.
I would have Thiago Silva ahead of. If you
can't say they're not close for us.
Thiago Silva's a better centre half than Vince Company.
Bearing in mind we're talking about what they've done for this club.
I would say if we're doing a combined 11, we're picking the best players that are available. Thiago Silva is a better player for Chelsea than Vincent Company was for Manchester City.
Vincent Company, more appearances,
never won a league title.
more trophies.
Are you edging Vincent Company?
I think
Vincent Company over Carvalho.
Yeah.
You can't.
Of course. Easy.
10 major trophies with Man City. 9 of those trophies as captain. Big moments. I think so far. That's fairly good.
That's a great side. Come on, lads.
So far, that's pretty good. Left back. I'm guessing you've both gone with the same name here.
Yeah, we always agree on
Ashley
this.
Cole.
I think he's the best left back in the history of football for me. I know
In
it's
the
a big
history of
shout.
football?
I know it's a big shout, but as a Maldini could play centre back, left back.
Roberto
And we talk
Carlos?
about Roberto Carlos defensively.
Marcelo?
Ashley Cole was the best total left back I've ever seen in my life.
Do you know the important thing when you try and analyse how brilliant Ashley Cole was? I think he is in a league of his own. But the fact that when you compare him to other players, when we compared Kyle Walker, you go maybe Gary Neville and you start talking about other players that have played in the Premier League. For you to find anybody to compare Ashley Cole to, you've had to go to an AC Milan 80s team. That's how good he was. You've gone Paolo Maldini. Yeah, OK, fine. That's how good he was. He is the standout left back in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will argue that. It's got to be on. Stick him on the board. Right, you've gone with a 4-3-3, right?
Yes.
So there's a slightly different in terms of where you're playing
Yeah, it's a
positions.
bit of a different interpretation.
Yeah, shall we reveal the 3 midfielders you've got to
I've been so honourable. I've been.
keep saying that.
I've been just
Do you
and
think
righteous.
Buvey's been as honourable?
Probably not, because he's a man of dishonour.
OK.
But I've gone for the 3 that is correct.
So let's reveal Rory's first then. Go on, we'll show Rory's.
As one at a time or 3?
All 3 to the camera. So you've gone Yaya Toure, Kevin De Bruyne and Frank Lampard. OK, that's your one.
Buvey, you've gone.
Kevin De Bruyne, Yaya Toure and Rodri.
I think you have to... Look, Guardiola's maybe the second best manager in the history of the Premier League. Would Guardiola take Lampard over Rodri? No, obviously slightly different positions. Would he take prime Yaya Toure, who obviously he won the Champions League with Guardiola at Barcelona? He wouldn't at all. And De Bruyne's infinitely better than Frank Lampard. And I love Frank Lampard. He played for our club and scored against Chelsea.
Would you not have Frank Lampard? Can you not have Frank Lampard and De Bruyne in the same side here?
No, because you lose the control of Rodri. Rodri's the best DM of a generation, and
So
Lampard wouldn't have helped us win. Lampard wouldn't have helped us win the treble like Rodri did last season. I've never seen anything like it in the Premier League.
You said that Lampard, KDB is infinitely better than Lampard.
I mean,
You got a response?
I just don't... that weird metric that Buvey created there, Frank Lampard would... Pep Guardiola, one of the best managers to have ever played, ever managed in football, he wouldn't have done X, Y and Z. I mean, Jose Mourinho wouldn't have swapped Frank Lampard for anybody. I don't think that metric really stands true. I think that is the best team. I've tried to do this, removing all bias and all tribalism, and I don't believe that you can pick Rodri ahead of Lampard. It's just ludicrous. So to leave Frank Lampard out of a combined 11 to favour Rodri, regardless of what positions you want to do it, Rodri's effectively had a very good 18 months. Frank Lampard was unplayable for over a decade. It's ludicrous to suggest.
I think Rodri's a DM, so it would be Lampard, be Rodri versus Makelele maybe, for example. It would be Lampard versus Yaya Toure for me. And for me, Yaya Toure has more individual quality than Lampard, goal scoring, controlling of the game. Lampard couldn't play centre back in a Champions League final and win against Alex Ferguson's Man United. I love Frank Lampard. He's one of the top 5, top 6 midfielders to ever play in the league, but technically nowhere near Yaya Toure.
I think the fact that you've said there he's in the top 5 midfielders in the Premier League era, for me, Kevin De Bruyne and Frank Lampard both have to be in this team. They both have to be in this team.
And then it becomes Yaya Toure or Rodri.
You can't not have Frank Lampard in this team.
I think you've got to have Frank in there. The
volume
of goals and contributions to Chelsea over
147 goals, 90
Incredible.
assists, second most Premier League appearances for Chelsea, 11 major trophies, captained them in the Champions League final,
Spanning
of
different
course.
managers, different teams,
Top
different
scorer.
systems. Different eras. I think those two have to be up there.
You've got to think Lampard... when we were talking about maybe the player that Kyle Walker developed into, Frank Lampard went to Chelsea under Ranieri, a team that was, hadn't won a league for 50 years. He suddenly becomes integral to back-to-back league titles.
In terms of greatest midfielders ever then in the Premier League, because we're talking about 2 of the best here, Kevin De Bruyne and Frank Lampard, who do you both think is the greatest Premier League midfielder of all time?
I think Frank Lampard is the greatest midfielder.
Buvey?
I think even someone like Steven Gerrard, Paul Scholes is ahead of them. I think De Bruyne is now in that category of being the best in terms of individual talent, in terms of the most, the league titles that he's won individually almost. Now he's won the Champions League as well. I think in terms of footballing talent, he's head and shoulders above Lampard and Gerrard and Scholes.
Head and shoulders, well. OK, should we stick Lampard and
KDB
Kevin De Bruyne
and then
on?
you two are going to have to decide between yourselves on Yaya and
Oh, a lot of names you haven't even mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Makaleli, Kante as well. Just throwing names in that haven't been mentioned. Not saying they're in, but just giving them...
Fernandinho.
Did you have Yaya Toure?
Fernandinho as well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have to put Yaya Toure in
that's
there
fine.
for me. Yeah,
OK,
we'll
so you're
do
doing that.
So could I just mention a name here?
Tidy up the magnet board a little bit. I mean, John Terry's slanted. Let's tidy this up a little bit.
Can I just mention, I'm sure people at home will be saying, where is David Silva?
Totally agree. No one's mentioned
The
David
trouble,
Silva.
the trouble is, I just don't think there's room for him. I think David Silva's a shout. I would love to put Michael Essien on this table. Like, Michael Essien, in terms of, like, a midfielder just bossing a game. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it the way that Michael Essien could in his prime. You know, going away to the Nou Camp and just, like, taking the game to that Barcelona midfield.
Can I ask Buvey about... obviously, Yaya, slightly different players, of course, but Yaya Toure or David Silva, you've both gone with Yaya Toure. How do you think they both compare in terms of City legacy? Because I'm just quite surprised you haven't even mentioned David Silva as a City fan.
I think Yaya Toure has iconic moments. Obviously, I talked about it with the FA Cup semi-final win, the goal against Stoke City. Those moments where it catapulted City to winning trophies for the first time in decades is huge. David Silva on a technical level is as good as anyone on this midfield, but I think you could the balance of this midfield for me, all three could do multiple roles. I think that's really exciting.
It's ludicrous though. Chelsea won our first title in 05. So you've got from 05 to now, brilliant team after brilliant team, league titles in amongst that, 2 European Cups in that spot. Think about the midfielders that we must have had. Games are generally won in midfield. All that data, all those midfielders, and he's picked 3 City players. That proves it. It's ridiculous,
You picked
right?
2.
I picked 2, but there has to be a Chelsea midfielder in there.
I agree. There's got to be Lampard in
Yeah,
there.
Lampard has to be in there. OK, I think so far, some good shouts.
Yeah.
Should we go right wing next? Disagreement here. Buvey's gone with... You've gone with...
I had to do Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva, OK.
It's a weird one. He
could've
can
done
play in midfield, he can play false 9, he can
Who
play
you got
left
on the right?
wing.
I've gone to Hazard.
OK.
I've gone Hazard.
Hazard against Bernardo Silva.
Oh, actually, no, sorry. I'm on the right. I'm going to go.
You're gonna have
Arjen
Robben out
Yeah, Robin. Yeah, OK.
I'm gonna go Robben.
So it's Robin against Silva. Good debate, this one, I think.
Look, I think Bernardo Silva's brilliant. Bernardo Silva nearly got into my midfield.
Over David Silva?
They're just, yeah.
Who's the better Silva?
Bernardo's Ballon d'Or worthy. He's absolutely sensational. Bernardo Silva is truly majestic, beautiful footballer.
Yeah, he's great
flawless,
around the eyes, isn't he?
flawless at
Yeah.
everything. Think about what he does for a team. There is absolutely no flaw. He's got a good eye for a goal, great range of passing, works harder than anyone, brilliant in a tackle, not bad with his head considering he's my height. He is a fantastic player. The only reason he couldn't get into that midfield was because of those 3. He would have probably been next name
He doesn't
down.
really have a position, that's his issue as well. You know, we talk about
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney sometimes, and he was kind of shifted all over different positions on the pitch. Bernardo Silva is a total footballer, has to be on this list, in
But
my
that's
opinion.
testament to a player of that. I always think when you talk about your Wayne Rooney's, your Bernardo
Yeah.
Silvas, your
How
Harry
good they
Kanes,
are.
the
Yeah.
players that can play in multiple positions are because they are that
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's testament to him.
Agreed.
You haven't even spoken about Ian
So I've
Robben,
gone
so
Arjen Robben.
why'd you choose him?
I honestly, having gone to Stamford Bridge for 2 decades at the time, I've never, ever been more enthralled than when he made his debut. I just couldn't believe what I'd seen. You know, just that electricity, that spark, that unbelievable raw pace, that incredible eye for a goal. He was just immense that season. The first season that we won the Premier League, he was honestly just unplayable. And I think that he is one of the best players to have ever played in the league. And it's weirdly not discussed. It's weirdly forgotten.
Do you think that, when we're looking at these, I think these are 2 top players. Where I'm probably edging towards Bernardo Silva is that when I think of Robben and Ribéry at Bayern Munich more so than I think of Robben at Chelsea. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think his peak was certainly at Bayern Munich. He's obviously scored a goal in the Champions League final against Dortmund. But in terms of technical ability, sometimes we discuss players. It's not Robben's fault he didn't have 10 years in the league. He only had 3 or 4 years before he went to Real Madrid. But I think Bernardo Silva has to get in. His prime years were at Man City.
I have no issue with Bernardo Silva being in this team, by the way. I think he's amazing. My only issue is, if you're playing a player here, Robben's better in this position than Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo can play out there, can't he?
Yeah, but not as well as Robben.
We won the Champions League final with Bernardo as a right wing.
Yeah, he won the Champions League final playing there as well.
For Bayern Munich, not Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think
probably what it
based on
comes down
everything
to.
said, let's stick Bernardo up. It's a good debate, that one, but I think
Left wing.
Bernardo's probably
this is
just the right
one of
call.
the most controversial shouts, I think, of the day from Booth.
This is the least controversial position on the board. This is
Well,
easy.
wait until you see Booths.
No, Rory,
What
go
have you
first.
done?
No, Rory, come on, mate.
I mean, I'm just going to put this up because the answer is Eden Hazard.
And Booths, you've gone.
What are you talking about? I can't do it. He's giving me a migraine here. I can't do it. Help me, please.
This is my rationale. If I was a football manager, which is obviously a very big shout to make, Grealish would get in for balance. There's something about Jack Grealish I can't quantify. I don't understand. There's a rumour that he'll be injured for obviously the next couple of weeks. And that is a huge loss. And I can't give you goals and stats. I can't give you step-overs. You know, I can't give you early retirement.
Step-overs.
I can't give you these things. But there's something about Jack Grealish. He's magic.
It hurts. I'm in physical pain now. It's quite difficult to do that with words in a confined environment. But I'm actually sore. I'm in physical pain. He's hurting me with partly his assessment of Jack Grealish, who's been fairly insignificant the whole time that he's been at City, really, overall.
I think that's a bit harsh.
Not last season. He was the first name on the team sheet.
He wasn't the first name on the team sheet. You've just been talking to me about how important Rodri is. You just told me it was Rodri.
He was great against Arsenal.
You just told me it was Rodri.
Huge game for winning the Premier League.
Was it Rodri or was
huge
it...
against Arsenal.
Look, come on. We can't argue Jack Grealish, Eden Hazard.
There's 11 footballers on the pitch.
Yeah, but it's not 11 first names on the team sheet.
Huh?
There's not 11... 11 first names on the team sheet, are there?
Grealish was the first of the front three. Everyone knew it. Grealish.
Oh, right. It's not first name on the team sheet. First name on a very particular. First name in that position.
In the front three.
I'm not... Joe, as much as I have full respect for the Saturday Social, I love the Saturday Social. I love being here. I'm not debating Eden Hazard versus Jack Grealish. I'm not debating Eden Hazard versus Jack Grealish. I will
Stick him on
storm
then. 85 goals,
Forwards.
54 assists, and
Striker.
245 Premier League appearances for Chelsea. Hazard makes it. Now, do you know what's interesting about this? You've gone with...
Whoa. That's an early placement.
Rory,
Take that down.
come on.
That's a yellow card, a
Feels
blue
unjust.
card for Rory.
A blue card, very topical, well done. You've gone Drogba, who have you gone with? Aguero.
Drogba, right?
Behave.
Oh, come on.
Just
Better
quickly,
goal to
before we get
game
into
ratio.
this, Buvey hasn't got a single Chelsea player in his entire front six. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's just Buvey, isn't it? I have no thoughts on that. It'd be like asking me to process something that doesn't make sense, because that's what you're doing here. He had Jack Grealish over Eden Hazard. He's made a mockery of your game and your combined 11. And that proves that the answer for the centre forward is Jack Grealish.
Here we go.
Is
False nine.
Didier Drogba. I mean,
Drogba v Aguero. Instantly, both won 12 major trophies for their clubs. Much better goals-to-game ratio Sergio Aguero has. However, Didier Drogba does have an amazing big game cup final Wembley record as well.
Look,
so we're judging this based on goals-to-game versus big game player.
Can I put a case forward?
Go on.
I can one case to just make this point. Chelsea went to Munich. We went to play Bayern Munich, in their stadium, their city, their trophy is the way that they phrased it. We arrived depleted with injuries. Roberto Di Matteo's manager, one man, brought London its first European Cup, and it was this man. He dominated the game. He made sure that Chelsea won. Sergio Aguero cried in Portugal. Cried. He cried. We saw him cry.
That is so
Chelsea,
below the
Chelsea
belt.
made Sergio Aguero cry.
That's so below the belt.
European
from
Cup
Rory.
finals, one cried, one won it.
It's so below the belt from Rory. It obviously doesn't surprise me about him. But ultimately, Aguero is the most cinematic Hollywood moment in Premier League history. And he's scoring against Paddy
make a film
Kenny.
about it.
Paddy Kenny versus Manuel Neuer. I know which one's more difficult. The issue for Aguero will obviously be Drogba won an array of trophies and he won the Champions League, and Aguero unfortunately didn't. So I think the appraisal about Porto was obviously kind of right on some level. But in the Premier League era, more goals, better goal-to-game ratio, higher scoring individual seasons as well. Come on.
Aguero cried in Portugal. Drogba lifted
Who's the better
it aloft.
striker? Like, who's the
Drogba
better
lit up
striker?
the German sky with his glory. Aguero cried.
It's a close one. I think Buvey's point about more goals to game, does it?
Yeah, it's a good
slightly
argument.
edge
It's a good
Aguero.
argument.
He's
talking
outscored
about?
Drogba. He's got
talking
more
about?
goals, Rory.
You two,
Well, if you're judging
it's
it based on
corrupt.
goals.
The Saturday Social is corrupt.
It definitely is.
It's corrupt.
Lads, simple question. What do strikers meant? What are they meant to do? Strikers.
They're meant to make sure that
Score
their team
goals.
win games.
Score
They're meant to-
goals.
He scored goals. He scored plenty of goals.
Yeah, and
Scored
Aguero
goals
won more league titles
goals in
than
European
Drogba.
Cup finals.
then.
How many?
Let's not talk about that.
Stick it up, Booth, before we
No,
have any...
you
Come
can't.
on.
This is corrupt.
It's based on best argument, and Buvey brought some good arguments to the table.
You went below the belt, Royce, OK? Be more polite about Aguero in the future.
There is confirmation of their combined Chelsea, Man City Premier League era 11. Let us know what you think of that at home. The Drogba Aguero one is going to rumble on